She loved me for 6 years. She walked into my office with brownies and caught me with another woman. In one silent moment, my entire future collapsed. I cheated on the woman I was supposed to marry in the dumbest way possible. At work, with someone I barely cared about. But that's not even the worst part. The worst part is that if you'd met us a year before it happened, you would have pointed at us and said, "Those two? They're solid. They're endgame. Her name is Emily." 6 years of my life are tied to that name. I can't hear it now without feeling like somebody's pressing a thumb into a bruise that never healed right. We met in college, at this awful campus coffee shop where the chairs wobbled and the Wi-Fi barely worked. I was pretending to study for an economics exam. She was actually studying for hers. She asked if she could share my outlet because hers was broken. That was the first thing she ever said to me. Not "Hi, not nice to meet you," just "Hey, is anyone using that outlet?" I remember thinking, if this girl is brave enough to ask a stranger for electricity, she's going to do something with her life. We started as friends. Late-night study sessions that turned into 2 a.m. Walks back to the dorms. Sharing fries at the diner down the street because neither of us had the money for 2 full meals. Trading hoodies when one of us forgot a jacket. It was easy with her. No games, no drama, just life, but better. By the time we graduated, we already talked like a team. Our place. Our future kids. Our dog. We moved into a tiny apartment with thin walls and a leaky faucet. We fought over whose turn it was to do the dishes. But we'd be laughing again 10 minutes later, sitting on the floor eating grocery store pizza off paper plates. She believed in me before I believed in myself. When I got my first job, she was the one who ironed my shirt, straightened my tie, and said, "You're going to crush it. Don't let them see you doubt yourself." When she got accepted into a grad program, I brought home cheap champagne and we toasted to the life we're building. We had plans. Rings saved in browser tabs. Vacation folders with places we wanted to visit after the wedding. Pinterest boards full of colors and flowers I pretended not to care about, even though secretly I did. I was going to propose that fall. ID already picked the spot. And if you're wondering how a guy with all of that managed to throw it away, well, that part starts with my job, and the day a new colleague walked into our office. I wish I could tell you there was this clear line I crossed, some dramatic moment where alarms went off and I thought, "Okay, this is wrong, stop now." But that's not how it happened. Started small, quiet, the kind of thing you can explain away if you want to. Her name was Natalie, new hire in marketing. Smart, confident, funny in that slightly sarcastic way that plays well in open offices and Slack channels. We started as coworkers, then work friends, the kind you swap memes with and complain to about meetings that should have been emails. Emily met her once. I still replay that day in my head. We were short-staffed. I had to go in on a Saturday, and Emily brought me lunch. She walked into the office, balancing a paper bag and my favorite iced coffee, and there was Natalie, leaning over my chair, laughing at something on my screen. Emily didn't say anything then. She just smiled, introduced herself, shook Natalie's hand. But later, in the car, she said, "You talk about her a lot." I shrugged it off. "She's just the only person in my department under 40. That's all." The first crack right there. And I just painted over it. Things shifted slowly. I started staying late more. At least that's what I told Emily. Sometimes it was true. Other times, I'd already finished my work but hung around anyway, lingering at Natalie's desk, talking about everything from movies to childhood stories to how both of us weren't really the jealous type. Emily noticed. Of course she did. She's not clueless. She'd text me at 9 p.m. "You still there?" "Yeah, sorry. Big deadline." "Okay. Love you. Don't overwork yourself." I'd stare at that message, guilt tapping on my shoulder, and then Natalie would crack a joke or roll her chair over with something you just have to see, and I'd shove the guilt into a corner. At home, the air got heavier. She'd ask more questions. "Who were you talking to?" When my phone buzzed, "Another late night?" said in a voice that was light on the surface but tight underneath. Once, she picked up my phone by mistake when a notification popped up from Natalie. "You're the only reason this job is tolerable." Emily didn't accuse me of anything. She just handed me the phone and said, Your work wife is looking for you." She smiled when she said it, but her eyes didn't match. I laughed it off. I told myself she was overthinking. But that was the thing about Emily. When something was wrong, she felt it long before she had proof. And by then, I was already far enough down the wrong path that instead of turning back, I started hiding the footprints. I can tell you the exact moment my life split in two. Before the elevator doors opened and after. It was a Thursday. I remember because Thursday was usually our almost there night. We'd order takeout, watch something mindless, and talk about how we just had to make it through one more day. I was supposed to be home by 7. I told Emily I'd be late. "Big project," I said. "Might be here a while." That part was true at first. There really was a big project. People really were stressed. But by 8:30, it was just me and Natalie left on our floor. Everyone else had gone home, the office half dark, the hum of the vents louder than usual. I should have left. I know that now. Instead, we ended up in the small glass conference room near the back, pretending to go over a deck we both knew was already done. One joke led to another. One "you get me" led to another long look. It felt exciting in that fake, dangerous way that doesn't feel real until it wrecks something that is. While all that was happening, Emily was downstairs in the lobby. I didn't know it then. She told me later. Shed decided to surprise me. Shed baked a tray of brownies. My favorite kind, with the little crispy edges, and driven them over, thinking it would cheer everyone up. She texted me when she got there. "In your lobby. Thought the team might need a sugar break." My phone was in my jacket, draped over a chair. On the other side of the conference room, on silent, the security guard recognized her. Shed been there before. He buzzed her up, smiling, said something like, "Hard worker. That guy. Still up there burning the midnight oil." She took the elevator, barefoot in her sneakers, carrying that stupid tray of brownies, probably rehearsing some little joke Shed make when she walked in. I didn't see her until her reflection flashed in the glass wall. Natalie was close to me, too close, her hand on my chest, my hand on her hip, the kind of closeness you don't get to explain away. I remember hearing her laugh at something I said right as the door handle clicked. I turned my head and there was Emily. She just froze. The tray in her hands tilted slightly, but she held onto it like it was the only thing keeping her upright. For a second, none of us said anything. It was like time stepped back and waited to see what we'd do. "Hey," I said stupidly, like Shed just walked in on a normal meeting. Her eyes moved from Natalie's hand to mine, then to my face. I watched the realization spread over her like a shadow. It wasn't loud or dramatic. It was quiet, like something collapsing inside her. "Oh," she said softly, just that one word. Natalie backed away first, mumbling something about needing to go. She squeezed past Emily, eyes glued to the floor, and then it was just the two of us in that glass room, surrounded by empty chairs and whiteboards covered in ideas that suddenly didn't matter. "Emily, it's not, don't," she said. Her voice didn't crack. That somehow made it worse. She set the tray down on the table carefully, like she was afraid of making a mess. "You told me you were working late." We were just, don't lie to me, in the same room you did this." The word "this" felt heavier than anything else she could have said. She looked around, taking it all in, the dark office, our distance that wasn't really distance, the way my shirt was slightly untucked. Every little detail added up to one big truth. Her eyes filled, but the tears didn't fall yet. She swallowed hard and stepped back from me like I was something sharp. "How long?" she asked. "Emily, please, how long?" My mouth opened, but nothing came out. Any number I said would hurt her, and silence hurt her too. She saw that and nodded once, like Shed just gotten the answer she needed. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." She walked out of the conference room without slamming the door, without yelling, without making a scene. That almost broke me more than anything. I followed her into the hallway, calling her name, but she kept moving, one hand over her mouth, the other fumbling for the elevator button. When the doors closed between us, my phone buzzed on the conference table behind me. Her text from 10 minutes earlier lit up the screen. "In your lobby." She had come to bring me brownies. and I had handed her proof that I was not the man she thought I was. I didn't go back into the conference room. I couldn't make myself walk into the place where ID just watched her heart fall apart. I grabbed my jacket, left my laptop on my desk, and practically ran for the stairs. By the time I got outside, she was already pulling out of the parking lot. I saw her taillights disappearing into the street, and I sprinted like I could somehow outrun what I'd done. I didn't catch her. I just ended up standing there, chest heaving, staring at an empty road with my hands on my knees like a guy who'd lost the game and still couldn't believe the buzzer had actually sounded. I tried calling. She didn't answer. Texted, "Emily, please, come home. Let me explain." Those little delivered checkmarks showed up. Then nothing. When I finally got back to our apartment, the lights were off. For a second, I thought maybe she wasn't there, that I'd have time to rehearse some kind of apology that didn't sound like a bad movie script. But when I opened the door, I saw her on the couch. She was sitting straight up, hands clasped so tightly her knuckles were white. The TV was on, volume low, some show she wasn't watching. She didn't look at me when I came in. Her eyes were fixed on some spot on the wall, like if she moved them, everything inside her might spill out. "Emily," I said, closing the door behind me gently. "Please, just let me talk." She inhaled, slow and shaky, and finally turned her head. Her face wasn't red or wild. It was pale, calm in that numb way that scared me more than if she'd screamed. Her eyes were swollen, though. She'd already done her crying, alone. "Okay," she said quietly. "Talk." All the words I'd been scrambling to arrange on the drive home fell apart. I started reaching for excuses, then shoved them back down. There's nothing more pathetic than a man standing in front of the woman he betrayed, trying to make it sound less ugly than it is. "I messed up," I said, and even as I said it, the phrase sounded so small. I don't even know how it got that far. I didn't mean for—" "Stop," she cut in. "Please don't tell me you didn't mean for it to happen. You walked into a room. You closed the door. You made choices." Her voice trembled, but she kept going. "Do not make this sound like gravity or bad weather." I nodded, tears burning my own eyes now. "You're right. You're right. I'm not going to pretend it was an accident. I did it. I betrayed you. And I am so sorry." She looked at me for a long time, like she was searching for the man she thought I was somewhere behind my face. "Why her?" she whispered. "Was I not enough? Did you stop loving me and just forget to mention it?" "That's not it," I said quickly, stepping closer. She flinched, so I stopped. "I love you. I never stopped. It was attention and feeling, I don't know, admired or wanted or—" Her eyes closed, and a single tear slid out anyway. "So I didn't admire you? I didn't want you? That's not what I meant," I said, panicking. I was trying to untangle something that had already knotted itself into a mess. It was stupid. It was selfish. It wasn't about you being lacking. It was about me being weak. The truth of that sentence hit me as I said it. Weak. There it was. She swallowed, wiped at her cheek with the heel of her hand. "Do you know what hurts the most?" she asked. "It's not even seeing you with her. It's thinking about every time I asked if you were okay. Every time I gave you the benefit of the doubt. Every time I told our friends, no, he'd never do that. He's not that kind of guy. Emily, I can be better," I said. "We can go to counseling. He'll tell you everything. No more lies ever again. He'll quit my job if I have to. He'll do whatever it takes." For a moment, the room went very quiet. I could hear the refrigerator humming, a car passing outside, my own heartbeat in my ears. I watched her weigh my words, but I could also see something else. The memory of me in that glass room stamped over every promise I was trying to make. She shook her head slowly. "I don't think you understand," she said. "You didn't just make a mistake. You broke something, and I don't know if it can be put back together. I don't even know if I want to try." "That can't be it," I said, my voice cracking. I dropped down on my knees in front of her without thinking, hands clasped like I was praying. "Please, Em, don't throw 6 years away because I was an idiot. Please don't let this be the end of us. They'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you." She looked down at me, and for a second, I thought I saw the old softness in her eyes, the part of her that used to kiss my forehead when I had a bad day, the part that believed we could get through anything. It flickered, and then it was gone. I didn't throw it away, she said hoarsely. You did. Those words landed harder than any slap could have. She stood up, careful not to touch me, and walked toward the bedroom. I followed her, my chest tight, as she pulled a duffel bag from the closet and started grabbing clothes. Hers, just hers. Where are you going? I asked, even though I already knew. To my sister's. For now. Her voice was flat, mechanical. I can't sleep here tonight. I can't even breathe in here. Please don't leave, I begged. We can talk more tomorrow. We can. She zipped the bag shut and finally looked at me again. Tomorrow, she said softly, I'm still going to have seen what I saw. She brushed past me, the faint smell of her shampoo making my chest ache. At the door, she paused, her hand on the knob. I meant it, she said without turning around. I really thought we were forever. Her voice broke on the last word. I hope someday you understand what you threw away. The door closed with a soft click. No slam, no shouting, just that quiet little sound that somehow echoed through the whole apartment. I stood in the hallway surrounded by the ghosts of our life together. Our photos on the wall, her mug in the sink, the grocery list with both our handwriting on the fridge, and for the first time, really and truly, I understood. Sorry was real. My regret was real. But sometimes, even when you'd burn the world down to fix it, sometimes it's already too late. Emily didn't disappear all at once. It was slower than that, like watching a photograph fade in the sun. For a few weeks, there was this strange in-between. Her toothbrush was still in the bathroom. Her sweaters were still folded on the shelf. Her name was still on the mailbox. But she wasn't there. The silence in the apartment felt wrong, like the volume on life had been turned way down. I kept texting at first. Not big speeches, just small things. Thinking of you. I'm sorry. I miss you. Most of the time, there was nothing back. Once in a while, I'd get a short reply. Please stop for a bit. I'm not ready to talk. Her sister texted me once. Just once. She's not okay, she wrote. She's really struggling. Please don't reach out for a while. It's making it worse. I stared at that message for a long time. The idea that my choices weren't just hurting her, but actually weighing on her like a blanket she couldn't get out from under, that sat on my chest like a cinder block. Months passed. Seasons changed in ways that only really hit you when you look back. The tree outside our window went from green to orange to bare. Her key stayed on the hook by the door because I couldn't bring myself to touch it. Then one afternoon, almost a year later, I ran into a mutual friend at the grocery store. We did that awkward small talk dance until he finally said, "You heard, right? About Emily?" My stomach dropped. "What about her?" "She moved," he said. "Took a job in Denver. Said she needed a fresh start. Said there was nothing left for her here." I nodded like I understood, like it was just a normal life update. But when I got back to my car, I just sat there with my hands on the steering wheel, staring at the dashboard. She really left. Not just the apartment. Not just me. The city. The life we'd built. The routes we used to walk. The grocery store where we argued about cereal. The park bench where we talked about baby names like it was a sure thing. Gone. Later, through bits and pieces, I heard more. She'd lost weight, then gained it back. She barely got out of bed for a while. Her sister mentioned therapy and medication in a text, then followed it with, "She's trying. But she's not the same. She says she doesn't trust herself anymore for choosing you. She blames herself, and I keep telling her it's not her fault." That part dug deepest. She wasn't just healing from me. She was doubting her own judgment. The girl who used to laugh with both feet off the ground, now second-guessing every step she took. I wanted to call. I wanted to show up, to say, "Please don't let my worst moment be the thing that defines your whole life." But ID lost the right to rush in and fix anything. My presence wasn't antiseptic. It was salt. So I stayed here. Same city. Same apartment. Just less. Less furniture. Less laughter. Less of everything. I quit my job like ID once promised, but for a different reason. Being there felt like walking around a crime scene. I catch sight of that conference room and feel my throat close up. I took another job across town, a step down in title, a step down in pay. I told people I wanted less stress. The truth was, I couldn't handle being reminded of the night I blew my life apart every time I passed the copy machine. People say time heals everything. I don't know if that's true. Time didn't heal what I did. It just made it clearer. There's this moment I come back to a lot. It's nothing dramatic. Just this random Tuesday memory. We were sitting on the couch, eating cereal for dinner because we were too tired to cook. Some commercial came on with an older couple holding hands in a grocery store, and Emily nudged me with her foot and said, "That's gonna be us someday." Annoying the kids in the produce aisle. Back then, it felt obvious. Of course it would be us. Who else could it be? Now, I walk through the grocery store alone. I see couples by the apples arguing softly about which brand of yogurt to buy, and some part of me wants to apologize to all of them on her behalf, like I owe the world a warning. Don't take this for granted. Don't be stupid. You're not invincible. You are absolutely capable of ruining everything if you stop treating it like something fragile. I don't date much. Sometimes I think about downloading an app, then I picture having to tell someone new, so I cheated on the best person who ever loved me, and my thumb just hovers over the screen instead. I'm not saying it'll be punished forever. Life doesn't work like some neat equation. Good people get hurt. Bad choices sometimes go unnoticed. There's not always a lesson stamped on the end of every chapter. But I do know this. There are some things you can't unbreak. Trust is one of them. The future is another. If there's a moral buried in all this, maybe it's simple. Betrayal doesn't just happen in the moment you cross the line. It happens in every little moment before, when you see the line getting closer and decide not to step back. I loved Emily. I still do, in whatever quiet, distant way you love someone you don't call anymore. But love by itself didn't save us. Character would've. Honesty would've. Respect would've. I had those words on my wall in our conversations, in the vows I never got the chance to say. I just didn't have them where they mattered most. In my choices when no one was watching. She's out there somewhere now, in a different city, building a different life. I hope she laughs loud again. I hope she falls asleep without that tightness in her chest. I hope someday when someone asks about me, I'm just a chapter she learned from, not the story that broke her. As for me, I live with what I did. I go to work. I pay bills. I call my mom. Life goes on in all the ordinary ways. But there's an empty chair at the table of my future, a space where she was supposed to be. And every now and then, when the apartment is too quiet and the past feels too close, I stand in front of the bathroom mirror and say it out loud, like a verdict I don't want to forget. You had something good. You were loved. You were trusted. And you were the one who threw it away.